Welcome everybody. It's really great to see you here. We expect a couple more people will probably join in the next few minutes, but let's get started. My name is Russell. I'm the head of the GDC, so great to meet you on the call if I've not had the opportunity to speak to you before. We're really happy to be hosting this webinar today in partnership with the Transform Support Hub and supported by UKAID through the Transforming Energy Access Programme. And we're really looking forward, or I'm really looking forward to hearing about is the program that Transform Support have run, where essentially it's an opportunity to access fantastic um, support and obtain access to really interesting courses and templates. But the thing we'll focus on today will be more about the support side, and you'll get an opportunity to ask your questions towards the end. So please make sure as we're going along, if you've got any questions, drop them in the chat and we'll cover them during the Q&A. Let me just move on to talk us through the agenda for today. So these are my welcoming remarks. I'll shortly be handing over to Alexandra, who will take us through a bit of an overview as to what the Transform Support Hub is. After Alexandra, we'll hear from Isaac at Jibu, who's had an experience with the Transform Support Hub that we want everybody to hear about. And then Alexandra will help us understand, if we're interested, how do we kind of get started with that hub process. And at the end, we'll have the opportunity for some Q&A. I should just mention a couple of housekeeping comments. So like I said, if you've got questions, please do drop them into the chat as we'll go along. We'll try and cover them at the end. And then the other one is we'll have a couple of polls. And just bear in mind, the polls are always going to be anonymous. So we won't see any kind of individualized responses. So let me just take the next steps to hand over to introduce Alexandra to you. Alexandra is head of the communications and storytelling at MovingWorlds. And then I'll be hearing from Isaac Kuka afterwards, who's head of IT at Jibu. So let me hand over first to Alexandra, who will give us a bit of an overview as to how the Transform Support Hub works. I'll stop sharing my screen so that she can share her screen for a moment.
Thanks so much, Russell. Thank you so much, everyone that's on the call. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here with us. I really hope you can get a lot out of this session. And to reiterate what Russell said, please do feel free to put your questions into the chat. Are you able to see my mural screen? Yes. Okay. So welcome, everyone. I'm Alexandra from MovingWorlds, and I'm going to give you a quick overview about the Transform Support Hub and also answer the question a lot of people have of what's the relationship between MovingWorlds and the Transform Support Hub. So just to start us off, kind of at a high level, the Support Hub is, you can think of it as an online portal where you can connect with free consulting support from professionals from major corporations, and also, as Russell mentioned, different templates, courses, guides related to internal operations and building the capacity on your team. So kind of taking a step back, why does the Support Hub exist? Our kind of target audience, the organizations we're best suited to support are in what we call the pioneer gap, like a little bit too early on, perhaps for more established, impact investors or funds to want to go in and offer support. There's that kind of like support desert, if you will, when you're in that early stage, you have more than an idea, you're making progress, but you haven't totally tipped into scale yet. And so the hub is a place where you can come to kind of further strengthen and build that foundation over time. It's not time bound. So, I'm sure entrepreneurs on this call can relate to this. You kind of expect it's going to be a smooth journey. You go from A to B to C. It's often much more bumpy than that. And that's where we're here to help buoy you up in any way that we can. So who do we work with? We have a global network, and we connect entrepreneurs, as you can see, from all around the world with support, especially from the private sector. As far as the types of organizations that are part of this network, most of them are social enterprises. And typically in that early pioneer kind of initial scale up stage, 15% founders only, a lot of them maybe 2 to 5 people on the team. So those really kind of early stage where getting really targeted execution support can potentially have a really big impact to getting to that next stage to be able to reach further levels of support. So what we do through our platform is help connect these entrepreneurs to skills-based volunteers from major corporations. So we work with professionals from SAP, Ernst & Young, Reckitt, Unilever, and are onboarding more corporate partners all the time. These professionals come to our platform because they want to make a difference. They want to use these skills that they have, that they've developed in their private sector roles, to advance causes that matter to them and that make the world a more sustainable and equitable place. And we help them do that by connecting to entrepreneurs like Isaac, who you'll be hearing from in a moment. As far as the type of support that they can provide, there's a number of business challenges that you can request support with. Anything from product market fit to sales to raising capital, business operations, technology. And in parallel, like our main, I would say, offering is those skills-based volunteers, but we have all these kind of complementary services around it to help kind of deepen your knowledge and access to resources in whatever area that you're most focused on. So we have live events. For example, right now we're doing a series with Eunice Social Business all about growing B2B sales or tapping into the B2B sales market. We also have a number of courses with internal guides, for example, like business model canvases and examples of kind of how you can apply these different templates and tools to your own organization. And then we also work with a number of ecosystem partners, including, we're very grateful, Global Distributors Collective, but also a number of investors and funders, Mercy Corps, Eunice Social Business, Acumen. And we also take definitely an ecosystem approach of, our mission is to help social entrepreneurs succeed, whether that's something we can help them do, play a part in, or connect them to other ecosystem resources. So we also send out every other week just a big roundup of funding opportunities globally with other entities and support organizations. So you can kind of think of the hub as an aggregator of free opportunities that are meant to help you succeed in whatever form that looks like. Really quickly, before we hand it over to Isaac, I'd just like to explain a bit about how MovingWorlds relates to the Transform Support Hub. So MovingWorlds is the social enterprise that operates the Transform Support Hub. The hub itself is a joint initiative between MovingWorlds, SAP, and the Transform Coalition. So as a social enterprise ourselves, we pride ourselves in taking a really social enterprise-centric view in how we're managing and offering these services and providing a lot of personalized guidance. This is our global team. So just a couple of people that if you do decide to take advantage of this opportunity, a couple of names you might see come through. Alexandra, that's me. Russell already introduced me. My goal is to help you get your story out there, get great publicity, get social media features, get included in articles, and kind of elevate your profile within the ecosystem. My lovely colleague Beta is the head of community and learning. So if you decide to come on board, she'll offer you a one-on-one session just to really learn about, what are your biggest needs and kind of handpick different resources from that kind of buffet of offerings that I was explaining that would be most relevant to you in the moment. And then the lovely Flavia is our head of matching. So once you submit a support request or project you need help with, she's we joke, like the magical good witch behind the scenes that finds a way to find the right people for the right projects. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Isaac. I know what I was speaking to is perhaps a bit more theoretical, kind of big picture view. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from Isaac as far as someone who's actually taken advantage of this opportunity or this support of what that really looks like in a real context. So thank you for letting me share.
Thanks, Alexandra. When I first learned about the Moving Worlds kind of program, and particularly the Transform Support Hub, it was a sort of program where I really wished I'd had an opportunity to make use of it when I was working at Vitalite before I took on the role at the GDC. And so this would have been a situation where instead of Isaac speaking, it would maybe be me speaking from my own personal experiences. But I'm really glad that we've got Isaac on the call today. When I had an opportunity to learn from him his experiences, it did sound like a really exciting opportunity. So let me move to Isaac's slides. Hopefully, everybody can see the first of his slides. Isaac, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Hope I'm loud and audible. Can everyone hear me? All right, so my name is Chuka Isaac. I work at Jibu as the head of IT, and I've been at Jibu for 5 years. Jibu is very much a startup in a sense, so don't let these numbers fool you that we are in 8 countries, that we've served over 160 franchises. We are very much trying to work on our scale, getting into West Africa and other markets. Very soon, I think we are in Russell, we are in Zambia, which you mentioned that you already use. So glad to meet you all. Hopefully, this is going to inspire you to get some support from MovingWorlds. So a little bit about Jibu. Anybody from Kenya here or any Swahili speaking person should know that Jibu in our sense means solution. So we wanted a solution for clean but cheaper drinking water. So, but in essence, we are a social franchise business where we co-invest with local entrepreneurs so that they can provide access to refillable drinking water, and that is in all our markets. And then for some of our markets, like in Uganda, Rwanda, and Goma, we also provide cooking gas, LPG, and healthy porridge. So that is some of our reach of the people we've reached. And down below, those are some of the countries that we are currently running in. Next. All right, so a very quick one. It sounds very strange, and when I said it, but all this time at Jibu, I've been trying to create a POS that works for our franchises at Jibu. This is my third trial, and I believe this time we've cracked it. We finally created a point of sale system that is customizable to us and is good for our franchises. For those of you who don't know, the way Jibu runs, every franchise is owned by a local entrepreneur and they do local production there. So we found that a lot of POS systems never really worked for us. So we had to do a lot of customization and do a lot of trials and errors. So when we found the one, as we are in the process of trying to launch it and spread it across all the countries, we still had a lot of things to do. Our team was stretched very thin. They were working on a lot of things. So we're still missing quite a number of things. We were collecting data, but we did not have comprehensive dashboards. Part of the system was not very mobile responsive, yet a large section of our users are really mobile people. They work on the fly, they are delivering water, they are delivering LPG. So these are not people that can carry around bulky tablets or any such devices. And then we also had a conundrum where, because of the nature of our system, our franchises value their privacy and always want their data to be separate. So we found ourselves with a system where we had almost each franchise, the 160 that you saw, having its own database and its own data isolated. So that's when we reached out to our head of impact and partnership, and we wanted them to help us do one thing. We actually wanted them to do the second thing, to make the mobile POS responsive. So we submitted the project, and very soon after, we hear that actually, so after submitting, she tells us we can actually get support from MovingWorlds, so that it can help you with this part of the system. and then you can concentrate on the rollout and other parts. So next. Yeah, after submitting the project, you can see from the screenshot, we wanted to make our POS very mobile responsive, even though we had those other problems. And very soon we got experts who reached out. And like I said, the team from SAP was really that were the experts that resonated to us. Just because we had built the system on an open source ERP system, so we thought SAP is an ERP system, so these guys must know how to modify and do things regarding to the ERP system. So that's how we started working with Jean, Uday, and Sid. And maybe just to talk about a little bit about the experience in this. I think it was pretty quick from asking for support, submitting the project, getting interest, matching, and actually starting to work together. And as you can see, we were using Tosca to make this order, but I think it worked out seamless, even without my team or me directly asking it for the support. Next slide. So we agree the SFP team is very happy to work with us. And during that first introduction, we realized that the team, given the time we had to work together, could not really work on the project that we had set out to do. But the team was very gracious and decided that they really wanted to know what other problems did we have on the system that they could work on. So that's how we ended up working on the other parts of the problems that we had. That is a comprehensive dashboard and analytics for customer and sales data. And on the third problem that we have about having data in a lot of databases, we decided to create a strategy that would allow us to aggregate the data from the different franchises. So during the time we worked together, the team really pushed this. I have to be very honest. They would be the one calling for meetings. They wanted to meet the developers. They wanted to talk to people who developed the ERP next system. They did a lot of research. They organized, and I'm grateful because I think if it wasn't for them and how they ran, maybe a few things may have slipped through the cracks. And at the end, we actually ended up knowing more about the solution that we presented them, more than we did before. On to the next, Russell. So some of the project outcomes on the comprehensive dashboards, one of the team members, Jean, really explored the offerings that the system had regarding creation of dashboards. So we got to know what was possible, because we had assumptions on the system, what we could do, but we found out some limitations on the system. We found out things that we did not know, and we learned the first time. And I guarantee you, even some of our developers, experts that we had to learn a few new things, but it was all through the discovery that was made by the SAP team. So that's a very nice looking dashboard that one of the team members actually worked on. Next, Russell. And then second and most important was the strategy for aggregating data. Quite before I started collaborating, I had an idea of trying to do this, seen on with that workflow, the flow chart on the right, of trying to aggregate the various data. I told you at the beginning, I have over 160 franchises. So I don't know if you have any techies here, but picture trying to log into 160 databases to access data. It's a nightmare. It's good for our franchises, but it's very bad for us. So this was really the crux of the project. And the two of the team members really spent a lot of time exploring all the possible the possible solutions for how we could really pull this off. So the system that we use called ERP Next, we explored the API offerings to see if we could write code that would allow us to aggregate that data very well. And it's through that exploration that we saw something we did not know before, that the system we're using had a business intelligence tool. BI is standing for business intelligence, called Proper Insights. And just know that this would come in very handy later on. And we also explored other business tools. So it was really a comprehensive, like collaboration, sending data, getting feedback, exploring different solutions. And by the end of this collaboration, we really had a way forward. So next please. So from this collaboration, we knew that if we could get somebody very good and could knew what Proper Insights is, and they could know what APIs ERP Next would offer, it would work for us. So we went to search, went to the ERP Next partner page. I actually wrote to all the developers they had on their list in India with a very brief, I have 160 databases on Frappe. Please, I need someone who can aggregate that data into one instance, so that we can really work on giving us insights. And that's actually how we came up with. So the collaboration with MovingWorlds was ended last November. Then at the beginning of this year, in around Feb, that's when we reached out, and we got a very good partner, Sanska, who very quickly in 2 months developed for us using the APIs an application that aggregated all the data from the 160 franchises into one master application, and was able to quickly allow us to do insights and write insights from this. So with this, handed with this information, our teams are now already making very good, we are now incorporating this data in our business decisions for H2. That is our retention rates, our referral frequencies, our customers, because we always want to know which customers are we serving. Previously, it was very hard to know. We would have to rely on data from the franchisees who we have to call directly. But now all the data is in one place. The data is streaming in every night from all the 160 franchises. The franchises are happy, and we at Jibu are happy. So we've now learned more about the solution, and I think whoever has, you may be using a solution every day, but just another eye looking into it and giving you a perspective can open up a lot. You've understood the solution we are working with much better, and I think there's more to come. Lastly, Russell, yeah, you may be asking, what are the next steps? I think now it is really endless. We look at that data, look at those numbers. We now have a lot of data sets. This project has been a success. Everyone is very happy, and we think this is just a start. Now that we've automated this data aggregation, we just need some more help. So very, very soon, with the blessing of maybe Alexandra from here, we'll be submitting another project, and this time we want some SQL experts to help us write some complex queries that can allow us to get better metrics out of all this data that we are capturing. And we think armed with that data, we can provide better support to our franchisees and provide more essential services to the people who actually need them. Thank you all so much.
Thanks very much, Isaac. Thank you very much for taking us through that. I'm going to hand over to Alexandra now, but you've got a question. I think you wanted to make a point. Alexandra, maybe just jump in.
Yeah, just a couple of thoughts. First of all, Isaac, thank you so much for, entrepreneurship. Everyone's stretched thin and taking the time to come here and share this experience. It's so deeply appreciated. A couple of things stood out to me while listening to you share. The first was that comment of like a small team stretched thin. I think that's like a really common experience, especially in the early stages. And I think that can be sort of where a support offer like MovingWorlds and the Transform Support Hub, you can almost think of it as kind of a like extra help to kind of fill gaps within a team that's already like stretched thin, because many entrepreneurs are working in that context. So I appreciate that, felt very relatable when you called that out. The other thing that stood out to me is just the importance of kind of like flexibility and almost like negotiating with the experts once you're working together, because it sounded like, the project was kind of going in one direction. And then once you actually sat down together and started really digging into it, maybe it took a few slightly different turns, or like the initial analytics bit that maybe wasn't exactly like it was kind of something you were both shaping together as you got to know each other. And I think that's something we see with the most successful projects of, submitting a support request. And then once you're on, in touch with those experts, kind of refining as you go. So I think that's just another point to reiterate of remaining flexible. And I mean, as entrepreneurs, like situations change. Sometimes it starts, as one thing, and then as you're digging into it, you uncover something that kind of changes the scope a bit. So I think that's also a testament to you, Isaac, for just showing up and being flexible and agile in that way, like leading to that positive outcome. And I love that your idea about submitting another project. And I think that's kind of what makes the hub different is it's there when you need it. We're not going to bother you when you don't need it. So it's a place you could have one project, maybe develop a strategy, then you work with some other partner organization, developer to implement the strategy. And then months later coming back, okay, now we're ready to do the second phase of this. So I think that's really positive too, of just being able to think of it that way as a place you can tap into over time as your growth level changes as well. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I guess that's another thing that as entrepreneurs on the call, they'll be familiar with the value of a repeat customer and what that really says to you about your offering if you have a repeat customer. Let me pass to you, Alexandra, so that you can take over and run the poll that I think you wanted to run at this point. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now.
Perfect. I think the lovely May Joy will, yep, there it is. So you'll see a poll on your screen. This is just going to help guide the demo I'm about to show you, but would love to hear from everyone on the call. What area, what business challenge could you most use support with if you were to come onto the hub? Like what kind of area would consultants help the most? Okay, I see some business operations, IT. Fun watching it change in real time. Right. Wonderful. So we'll give it just a minute. 50%. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so if we look at the results here, it looks like we have a tie between marketing and sales and IT and digitization. And I'd love to, based on those needs, kind of ground it, what I'm about to share, in what is it actually going to look like from your perspective if you decide to join the hub. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen once again. Can you confirm you're seeing the dashboard with welcome back, Grace, at the top? Yes. Okay. So quick overview. So how it works, you request support. So you let us know about the business challenge you need support with. So marketing or IT and digitization. Find a professional. We call them experteers because they're volunteering their expertise. Confirm the match and then start working together. So what does that look like? If you decide to join us on the hub, this is just a test account, but this is the exact screen you'll be looking at. This is the entrepreneur dashboard. So what you would do is come over here where it says request support and submit your project. So this is the step in the process that Isaac was talking about earlier, like they kind of submitted the proposal of, hey, we need help with the POS system. This is how that works. So it'll take you through 4 steps. First, you'll select your business challenge. So for the purposes of this, let's just say we're going marketing. Also, if you have questions about what these mean, you can just hover over the question mark and it can give you kind of some thought starters of what that could look like. So we'll select marketing. And the next question it asks is, what skills would this person you're looking for need to have to be able to help you? So we will automatically suggest skills based on the business challenge that you chose. So in this case, communications, marketing, online marketing. But you can also scroll or type. So let's say for some reason, maybe like they need to also have an understanding of culture. So you have the ability to kind of fiddle around with it based on the context of your business challenge. You'll go to the next screen and then you let us know, how do you want this person to support you? So I would say you can think of these as kind of in terms of depth of the engagement. A consultant is, and this is what Isaac was talking about, this is someone that comes in and really kind of temporarily embeds on your team and is doing hands-on execution work. There's a deliverable at the end. There's a new strategy that they're handing you. There's an analytics dashboard they're creating for you. Coaches and mentors, these tend to be less deliverable based and more like, hey, we're going to meet once or twice a month over 3 or 6 months, however long that engagement is, just to have kind of a sounding board, a sparring partner. Mentors tend to have industry specific experience, and understand your niche quite well and can kind of help you bounce ideas, get different perspectives. And coaches tend to be more on the kind of personal development side, things like managing your team or work-life balance, things of that nature. But sometimes people just want a quick call. It's typically one time 30 to 60-minute call. Maybe you have an idea, you're choosing between 2 potential paths and you just want to bounce that idea, get that outside perspective from someone, but not necessarily have it be a full project. That's an option as well. And finally, a trainer. This is someone that, let's say you want someone to come in and train your entire team on what APIs are or something of that nature. So this can be, from broad to specific. You let us know what kind of support you're looking for. Most people, I would say consulting is probably the most popular because it's more in-depth, but just calling that out to let you know that even if you're not ready to commit to like a long-term project with someone, if you just need to connect with someone to bounce ideas, get a second opinion, that's also an option. So I'm going to select consultant. And then the final details. So you can let us know what languages would be required. And here you can tell us if you're interested in potentially working with a team. Like Isaac's experience, some of our corporate partners do team matching instead of one professional to one entrepreneur. They'll take a group of professionals from that company with kind of complementary skills to be able to achieve more and kind of look at different aspects of the business. It's totally up to you, but you can just let us know. And if you say yes, then as new corporate programs come on board, we'll say, hey, we've got a really cool team. I think they'd be cool for your project. Are you open to connecting with them? And then you'll give us the final details. So as you're going through this, my guidance would be to think of it as, this is what a corporate professional who's looking to volunteer is going to be reading to decide like, yeah, I want to get in touch or not. So you can give it a title, for example, like refreshing our marketing strategy, or in Isaac's case, like, aggregating data into a single POS system, or help develop mobile application. For the expected deliverables, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure why it might be because it's a test account, has that little X there, but that's where you would write, we have a marketing strategy. This is just hypothetical, but we have a marketing strategy. We developed it in 2020. It needs updating. Our business model is pivoted slightly. We're looking for someone to come in and help us do user interviews and update our customer segments and develop messaging for each, something like that. Again, as Isaac so wonderfully pointed out, there's some flexibility here. So sort of like, this is the idea of what we think we need, but also with the expectation of being, once you're on the call with an interested person, maybe there's some other kind of branches of it that, depending on your needs and their skills. You can list any additional requirements. So for example, and forgive me, Isaac, I can't remember, it was like the specific technology and that they were using. So you could say like, needs to have an understanding of XYZ technology or XYZ programming language. Oh, I think I saw him mute. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to recap? Yeah, ERP next.
Yes, ERP next. That was it. So that's where you could write like, it needs to be fluent in ERP next, because this is the specific software we're using. Kind of how long you would want to work with, like, are you looking for someone to embed full-time for 2 weeks? Are you looking for, maybe 10 hours a week over 3 months? This is just your chance to provide any additional context of, like Isaac did, of, we've grown, we've rolled it out. There's privacy concerns with the franchisees, but also we have the need for reporting, just that kind of extra context and texture. And then optional, like what an expert here can learn by working with you. I mean, this really goes to both ways, like you being generous enough with your time and expertise to open up a potential area of your business to a corporate professional, that the whole reason they're here is because they know that social enterprise is the future of business. And so for them to get to see like just the innovation and the agility and kind of the way of thinking and the different way of working that entrepreneurs have also is a huge value and benefit as well. And so when you've got that done, you'll just submit it for review. Flavia actually reviews each project just to make sure it's clear, that it's, that it makes sense for, one person to do. And if there needs to be edits, she'll let you know, but that typically gets turned around in a day or so, and then it will be published on the platform. So the other thing, once your project is published, experters who are looking for a project to support will find it in the search results. But the same way they can search projects, you can also search professionals. So again, just from the dashboard, I just clicked search expertise. And then if we're going back to that same marketing example, enter the skills and languages. And then as you can see, there's 95 people that listed this specific skill in their profile. These people are all here for the same reason, which is that they want to use the skills they've developed in the private sector to support social sector businesses that are doing work that they believe in, that's contributing to the sustainable development goals. So as you're scrolling through there, you would click on potential interesting profiles. There'll be a photo, just a headline. So this is, so she works with SAP, leading the partner digital acceleration in Australia. There will be a quick kind of update of their skills, language proficiency, and then website, which is typically a LinkedIn profile. So I'm just going to right click, or Are you able to see my whole screen? Like you see LinkedIn now? Yes, okay. So that way, before you reach out, you can really see, okay, does this person have the skills that I need? And you can really go into, okay, these are the experiences they have. What is their education level? Things like that. So if you're looking at this and you think, yes, Kate seems great, I'd like to work with her, you would just click this blue request an introduction button. Hey, Kate, your skills really match project we have. We'd be interested in connecting and having a conversation to see if we're a good fit. And then if she accepts, then we'll connect you directly and guide you through a scoping and planning process. So don't worry, once you connect, we don't just throw you to the wind and say, good luck. We have a very structured process to help make sure. We find that, when you do that, take that time to plan and align up front, it pays dividends down the line once you actually begin working. So we have different templates and documents to guide you through, what's the current state of this project? How often are we going to meet? How are we going to share progress updates? Things like that, just to make sure it's as smooth as possible and the expectations are clear and shared on both sides. So that's my quick in-platform demo. And as far as the next steps, you would just need to create an account on the MovingWorlds platform. I'm going to put the link in the chat. This is the Global Distributors Collective unique link so that we know you're a partner of the GDC. And you'll complete the application. It'll take about 10 minutes. And then within a day or so, we should be able to accept you in, especially because you came in through the GDC, preferential treatment there. And then once you're in, you'll have access to this same dashboard that I was showing you, and you'll be able to submit your first project. And also you can start searching and connecting with expertise. We've got a number of corporate programs that are big groups of corporate professionals coming on board for the rest of the year. In Q3 and Q4, we've got a bunch of regional cohorts and ongoing cohorts from SAP professionals. So they're constantly joining on an ongoing basis. You saw that one, Kate, was SAP. So lots of SAP folks. We also have a 50 EY professionals coming to serve as coaches in September, and then 50 more coming in January, and also 50 to 100 professionals from Reckitt will be joining in October of this year. So I know one common question kind of as far as timing goes, you can expect, sometimes it happens faster, but I would say the longest would be maybe about a month. So even if, it's a good idea to get your projects out there and submit them rather than maybe waiting to submit until the same exact week or month that the professionals are joining, because once you submit the projects, that just means you'll show up in the search results when these professionals are coming on board and looking for the right entrepreneur to support with their skills and get to know and grow their network. So that's it for me. I'm happy to field any questions. Feel free to put them in the chat. And I'll also share my contact information as well in the chat, so that if you maybe would prefer to follow up with me directly, you're welcome to do that as well.
Thank you, Alexandra. That's fantastic. So that's a neat segue to the Q&A. I was thinking back as I've been listening to Isaac and then listening to you about some of my earlier experiences. And I remember we were wanting to move from one database, or one CRM system to another CRM system. And we needed to shift all this data across, all the customer data, from one system to another. And all of these customers are using PayGo. So if we get it wrong, that means thousands of customers who are not going to have access to their PayGo systems. And the amount of stress that we went through trying to make sure that we got that right, because we didn't have access to like proper expert support. It was a really, really difficult period. And that's precisely the project I've been thinking of earlier, when I was thinking how envious I was of Isaac having the opportunity to work with you guys. I had a quick question myself before we get into questions from others, actually. So one question I had, you mentioned you work with EY. Do you know if any of the EY expertise work in audit?
Not off the top of my head, but I would imagine so.
Because I was just going to say, like, that was another area for me where if we could have had access to like free, high quality audit support, who could have come in and helped us to see which aspects of our organization, especially in the operational side, thinking about things like key controls, key processes, how to make them really, really smooth and effective. That would have been another project I'd love to have done. I can see we've got a question from Mariama in the chat. Mariama is asking, how many projects can you submit like simultaneously?
As many projects as you please. There's not a limit to the number of projects you can submit. And in fact, it's, I think, a good idea to maybe have a couple out there. Now, if for some reason expertise replied to all of them at once, you would probably have a capacity issue, right, in terms of being able to manage. But yeah, you can submit as many projects as you please. And I think it's a good idea to kind of have a diverse mix. As far as what are the costs to use these services, I was just typing here, there is no cost. It's completely free for entrepreneurs, like no sneaky costs, like it's completely free. And usually that leads to the follow-up question, like, how? You know, people are like almost like kind of suspicious maybe, but the dual answer to that is, one, this is a joint initiative of SAP, MovingWorlds, and Transform. Transform is made up of the UK FCDO, Unilever, and EY. These are basically, they've funded the creation of, and like they put money into like getting this platform up and running and ensuring that we've been able to develop this without needing to like charge externally, especially for social entrepreneurs. The other thing is our ongoing revenue comes from our corporate partners. So SAP, these professionals, you know, that you have access to, the companies they belong to will come to us and say, hey, MovingWorlds, we want a way to facilitate our social good programs. So they end up paying us to facilitate making those matches. So like, we are a social enterprise, there is revenue, but it's coming from the corporate side. I think the whole kind of mandate of why we exist is like being able to mobilize resources from the private sector into the social sector, while at the same time, it's a win-win, because then the private sector folks are also getting like innovation, like just a front row seat to the innovation that's happening in the social sector. So hope that answers your question. What is the percentage of project submissions which find support? We have a really high match rate. I think, I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but I know that like on a monthly basis internally, we looked at like projects that haven't found a match, and it was like 2 for this past month. We've made a lot of strides in this area, especially since onboarding Beta, our head of community. Like, I guess that's the other thing. It is a platform based, but there's real people behind the scenes that are like, okay, you know, between the corporate accounts, the matching, and the learning shop, like Beta will have a one-on-one call. And then, you know, when we see a professional come through that has these skills, she's like, I spoke to Isaac, and Isaac was letting me know about needing help with the POS system. Would they be a good match? So there's almost this like group of people behind the scenes that are like, it's not just totally up to chance and like the platform. We also are constantly looking for ways that we can manually facilitate that. Previous project feedback. What feedback had the private sector given? What's been beneficial for them? These are such good questions. I'm happy to share, like, I was thinking like some testimonials and stuff. I wish I had it on hand. But basically the biggest areas they say are, one, it just felt good to do something that mattered. Like, it, no shade at the private sector, but like making money for shareholders is like maybe not like what really gets people going out of bed in the morning. Like, I think being able to feel like they can see a direct contribution of like, wow, I was able to like take something I know and even in a small way help make a difference for this organization that is working towards things that I care about environmental sustainability, climate action, empowering women and girls. Like, there's the emotional component. I think also for them, it's a stretch experience. Like, it builds on their existing skills, but also maybe challenges them to grow. Maybe they are part of a big team in their corporate role, and they're taking kind of more of a like stretch opportunity to like lead it from start to finish in collaboration with this entrepreneur. I think it helps them improve their problem solving skills and kind of like get outside of their comfort zone and see that what's possible, not just in terms of like them being able to kind of handle new situations, but also just getting inspired by how agile and like how you as entrepreneurs work and think. I think just like getting a window into your mindset and how you think empowers them when they go back to their companies of like, hey, maybe there's a more innovative way I could approach this, or maybe, like just, yeah, taking insights from you as well. So I hope that answers your question.
And Alexandra, just before you move on, I can really vouch for that. Like, some of you all know I used to work for Barclays. I was at Barclays for almost 15 years at Barclays Bank. And you can definitely find after some time that you feel a little bit disconnected from the reality of what's actually kind of going on in the world around you. I took a different path. I ended up joining some charities and joined their boards. That was my way of feeling like I'm doing something really tangible that's giving back to like my local community. But I can really imagine that had something like this kind of been open to me at the time, this would have been a really interesting path. If I was still working at Barclays, like it'd have been a great way for me to feel like I'm doing something kind of useful and direct in spaces that I really kind of care about more passionately. But let you continue because we've had some more questions coming. The next one's
I
from
really
Josh.
really appreciate that. Yeah, it's so valuable because you know what it's like on both sides of the table.
Sure.
So thank you for sharing. So there was a question: are there any limitations to countries applying? The answer is no. We operate globally. You can be from anywhere if you have a social business that is contributing to one or more of the sustainable development goals you're in. Are there any pro bono legal services? Good question. So we do have legal as a business challenge, like in the project submission, but I know that I wouldn't say that's our specialty. I would say more like core business functions. I think it could be possible to connect with someone for a legal project, but I know that there's other organizations, the pro bono, the like, gosh, trust law, no.
Yeah, trust law is one.
Russell, yeah, trust law is one. Lex Mundi, was that? Yeah, there's a few that are like very specifically specializing in legal, and it looks like someone put that in the chat as well. That was kind of a long answer. So can you connect with someone from legal? Yes, but it might take a little longer than if it was one of those like finance, accounting, marketing, IT projects. And there's other platforms that really specialize in that might be better suited. Okay, looks like a question for Isaac.
Isaac, over to you. There's a question from Mariama. Did you feel that you could be open with your challenges and communicate them effectively when you were talking to the consultants from SAP?
Very much so. as I showed in my presentation, we really went. I did not actually describe what we went through during the math. They even volunteered to answer any questions I had after the project was done. So they are responsive. If I have any question, I can actually contact them directly. So we went through every single challenge that the problem had, that the system had, and much more.
That's fantastic. I do think, Alexandra, there might even be a flavor of too good to be true about your proposition, which I think people only really realize it's actually as good as it sounds once they have the sort of experience that Isaac is talking about. Do we have any other questions that haven't been typed into the chat? Anybody on the call wanted to pose something they've not had a chance to ask?
Russell, as we are waiting for people, guys, I've not been paid or given anything to me. I just wanted to make that very clear, or to sweet talk or anything. This is my honest feedback. It was that good, and you also the outcomes. I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate everyone so much. And again, I know that too good to be true. Like, look, we're a social enterprise too. Like, we're iterating. Maybe it might, if you have a really niche project, might take a little longer to match. Like, we're not perfect, but we're constantly iterating and improving. And we really hope that you can be part of this community, and that we can help you take the awesome work you're doing and scale it even further. So thank you so much, Russell, and thank you, Isaac, as well.
No problem. So let's jump to the last slide here. So I think oh, brilliant. There we go. So what you should see on your screens now is like a more general feedback poll. Again, anonymous as before. So please fill that in. That's always really useful to us to really clarify which of our efforts, which of our webinars, which of our events and publications, what's working for you and what's not working, and it helps us adjust and continuously improve. So thank you very much for that. We'll be sharing the sharing the slides and the recording after the call, and I think we'll also share the link which Alexandra mentioned earlier, like that direct link into the support hub, and we'll share Alexandra's details. So if you've got any follow-up questions for her, then you can feel free to kind of direct those towards her. And just in terms of upcoming activities, one thing I did want to mention is that we'll be sending out our member survey in the coming weeks or so. So do keep an eye out for that. It's super important for us that we learn as much as we can about how all of our members are kind of looking at things, where they're at, what their challenges are, because that really helps us when we're communicating with donors in particular and explaining this is what the sector really needs. We know because the sector told us. It's really, really powerful evidence that underpins how we then go and fundraise to do all of the work that we do to support our members. So there's a real circularity to it. So yeah, very much depending on your help as members to fill in the survey in the coming weeks that will really underpin everything that we do next. So thanks very much to you as members for your attention. Thanks for jumping on the call, taking the time today. I'd like to thank obviously Alexandra and Isaac for their contributions, and also to thank Mayjoy and Cynthia who helped put this event together today. Much obliged to everybody. Other than that, thanks very much everybody, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.